Welcome back. We're going to get now to the halachas of Siman Reish Pai Zayin and Reish Pai Tes till the end of Hilchas Mezuzah. Mirz Hashem b'siyata d'shmaya. Okay, Siman Reish Pai Zayin. The Mechaber is going to say, Eiza Pesach Chai b'Mezuzah. Which kind of Pesachim is Mechi b'Mezuzah? The Mechaber starts if all of Eina Pesach Chai b'Mezuzah Elim ki yesh l'shnai mezuzos im Ashkev. You only mechiv to put a mezuzah on a Pesach which has two mezuzahs, the two sides, and a mashkoif. Okay, so that's the Mechaber. What kind of mezuzahs we need? Why? Because it says ichsaftem al mezuzos basecho v'sharecho, which means mezuzos means to have it should have two mezuzos. And it has to be two mezuzahs from the side, the right side and the left side. Then it sees and it looks like a Pesach. If it doesn't have mezuzos, it doesn't look like a Pesach. It looks like a pirza in koisli. You have a wall and you have a pirza. A pirza is not machib mezuzah. It says mezuzahs basechu has to be on a Pesach, so to speak, a doorway. So if it doesn't have mezuzahs, then it has to. Then it's called a pirza. It's not called a mezuzah. According to Roiv Rishonim, the mezuzah and the mashkev does not need to be from wood or from metal. Even if the wall itself curves. That means you have a room with three walls. And the fourth wall goes in. The wall goes in on the two sides, but it's not made out like a door frame. The eitzim wall is the door frame. Is according to all the Merov Rishonim. That's considered a Pesach, and you put a mezuzah on it. Now, this is when it goes on a fourth wall, it goes in to the right and to the left. So that's and also on top, Kemuven. Then we say that basically that's considered also a Pesach. But what it is, if you have a room which is has three walls, and let's say opens up in a other room, in a bigger room. So basically, you have two walls and a mashkoiv, but it's not a doorpost. It's not a frame. It is the koisel itself. The koisel finishes. For instance, where you can see it a lot of times from a big room, and let's say a room which has a 9-foot ceiling, and you're going into the second half of the apartment through a hallway, which the hallway is only an 8-foot ceiling. Some people make, let's say, the bedrooms is an 8-foot ceiling, and the dining room, that part is an 8-foot ceiling. Yeah. So sometimes you're going to have the wall itself is like a tziras Pesach, but it's not. It comes in inside. It's three walls, and the fourth wall is open, but the wall finishes, and the ceiling finishes. So you have a real tziras Pesach. That's called soif hakoisel. You have a tziras Pesach through the end of the koisel. Now, according to the Rosh Paskins, in such a case, it is called a tziras Pesach, and you have mechi b'mezuzah, because since the end of the koisel finishes, and that's like a mezuzah, and therefore it is considered a mezuzah, two mezuzahs, and you put a mezuzah. If it has also a mashkev, that means something comes down too on the top. Then it has a real tziras Pesach, and then mezuzah. There are Rishonim which disagree with the Rosh. The Tor in the Shach all passing, the Taz in the Shach passing like the Rosh. That's Mechi b'mezuzah. And in Das Rambam is Nish Poshet, but Akapurim the Bas Yosef learns that the Rambam is also maskem to the Shittas HaRosh. So therefore, in such a case, we are going to put a mezuzah without a bracha. As we mentioned last week, whenever we have a machloikas, we are going to put a mezuzah without a mezuzah. This is a thing which is very common. It's a very common shala that you have the wall ends, the ceiling ends, but it doesn't have a doorpost b'chalal, but it's a safa koisel, and then we are going to put a mezuzah without a bracha. Except if it is not basically made for this room, which is you going in. It's made, let's say, for instance, if you have two rooms, two butkas on the street, yeah. So the butkas are ends the same way. So basically, it's a mashkov, it's two mezuzahs, but the walls are not made for the thing in between. It's made for the other room. So in such a case, the Rosh would also be maskim. It's not considered safa koisel. But whenever you have such a thing in a house, usually it's made also for the hallway. It's also made for that room, and therefore, in such a case, you are going to make you're going to put a mezuzah without a bracha. According to the Rosh, with safa koisel is considered a mezuzah, even if only on the right side you have a safa koisel. Then it's also, you'll put a mezuzah, kimivim without a bracha, because even if the post is on the right side, a mezuzah with a mashkov, so then we are going to consider it also as since the right side has a mezuzah, and therefore it is going to be mechib mezuzah akapunim according to the Rosh without a bracha.
Can you explain again when again is the Rosh hold you don't put a mezuzah?
If the walls are not made specifically for this room too, it's not made. For instance, you have a two rooms, yeah. Let's see if I could just make some kind of picture. You have two bungalows, yeah, something like this, yeah. Something like this. You have two bungalows. Now all the walls are made for the bungalows inside. It's not made for here. It's not made for this.
Mm-hmm.
So since this wall ends, and it's not made for here, it's made for this. The Rosh is putter. But for instance, if you have a big room, yeah, and this is a hallway, so the walls is also made for the hallway. In such a case, you are going to be mechib mezuzah. So basically, this is a common shal in a lot of houses you have. That means you have the wall ends, but you don't have a doorpost. And according to the Rosh, it is considered as if it's a doorpost.
So in the case of the two bungalows, there's a mashke between the two bungalows.
If not, then for sure, then we're not talking about it. It has to be that there's a mashke. It's made like
separate houses.
They made the makshah of it, yeah. Or there's a beam going through. It looks like an amala tzirus pesach. In such a case, it will be potter. It's not made for the hallway. But whenever it is made for that, then it will be mechiv b'mezuzah according to the Rosh. The same will be also if you have a doorpost, but you don't have a mashkov, but the ceiling comes down, because as I mentioned before, it goes from a 9-foot ceiling to an 8-foot ceiling. So automatically you have a foot which comes down. That's considered a mashkov, and according to the Rosh, you are going to be mechib mezuzah, and but we are not going to make a bracha. A door which is lying, a lying door, which is basically, I would say, if you go in the city, in New York City, you have its stores have on the street they have storage. So they open up like two metal, doors, which is lying, and then you have steps to go down, and over here they have storage. I'm sure in Quran there's two, but I remember seeing this in Williamsburg. So such a case, the whole door is basically lying. In such a case, when it's lying, then there are poskim will say that a minority should be a minority that you mechib mezuzah, but we are not putting a mezuzah like because since it doesn't have a tzirus pesach, then most of the people will not put the mezuzah. If somebody wants to put a mezuzah, he should put without a bracha. But if it is slanty, yeah, sometimes you have like you want to go down to a basement, yeah, and it's not flat. It is like a budka, which is a small budka, like a small house. You open it; it's not flat. It is more like that. In such a case, the poskim will say that you should put a mezuzah without you should put a mezuzah without a bracha.
And you put another mezuzah if that those
on
doors
the
open.
Exactly, you put it on the mashkef. That's the mashkef. I'm sorry. You put it on the mezuzah. No, I just slipped. You put it on the two mezuzahs. Always a mezuzah comes on the mezuzah, not on the mashkef. You put it on the side, the two sides, one on the right side from the two sides going down.
And if there's a regular door that's right after those, like you go open the bulkhead and then you have like a regular door. You have to put on both doors.
Nachmal, again, what?
If there's a bulkhead like the metal doors on a slant, and you go down the steps, right? And then the steps is another door to go into the house. Would that be considered like a?
So basically, this won't have b'chal, and that steps b'chal buys which you could use. This is also a common thing which people have. You have such a thing, and right away you go down steps, and once you come down steps, then you have a door. Now the bottom door for sure you need to make a mezuzah, but on the top you need to make a mezuzah because it's not going. It's you don't have. It's not a bias which you have ishtamshus because it's only a staircase. And then it's slanty too. You have points which say that it's not a problem, so you don't have to. It's not mechiv mezuzah. Then you don't put such a case of mezuzah. A mezuzah has to be on top of it. Two mezuzahs, and the mashkef has to be on top of the mezuzahs. As we know, the same thing at Tzuras HaPesach and Hilchos, the Tzuras HaPesach has to be on top of the mezuzahs and not in middle, not in the middle. That means if you have two mezuzahs and the mashkef is lower inside, it is not considered a Pesach, and you don't need to put a mezuzah according to Ribe de Poiskim. There are a Yeshomram which say that since it is mishtamash leknisa v'yitzia and it has a tziras mashkef, tziras HaPesach, then you should put a mezuzah and you cannot be madama it to Hilchos Eiruvin. So again, in such a case, you're going to put a mezuzah without a bracha. A Pesach, in order it should be basically to be mechiv mezuzah, has to have asorat tefachim. If not, it's not considered a Pesach. If it's less than asorat tefachim, then which is about 35 inches, about that 35 inches. Then, if it's less than that, it's potem in a mezuzah b'chlal. Only when it's this size, you are going to put a mezuzah. The width of the door has to be 4 tefachim, which is about 12.5 inches, the width. If you have 10 inches in the height, but you don't have the 4 tefachim in the width, then you're going to put the mezuzah again without a bracha, because according to some points, it's poter b'chlal. A house which is a bayis sheyesh lo mezuzah mekan mekan, there's the loshif in mechaber, that's siv bayis sheyesh lo mezuzah mekan mekan, v'kippah k'min keshes al shtay mezuzahs, mamukim mashkev has a kippah. What is it called? It's like what is it called? A archway. Yeah. So you have that's the bias. It's a bias which has two mezuzahs, but on top it goes roundy. Yeah. It's like this. If usually when it has such a thing, that's usually a lot of people have that in going in from a dining room to a living room. So you're gonna have archways. Yeah. So the halacha is like this. If it has 10 tefachim, begoy v'hamazizah, or more, so then it's mechiv b'mazizah, because then you have a Pesach which is 10 tefachim. If you don't have 10 tefachim, it's potem in a mazizah. Zug the shechnurch why? It doesn't have a mashkef. What does it mean that it has a mashkef? The has a mashkef. Because in such a case, we are considering the whole thing as a mezuzah. The whole thing, since it is roundy, so there we are considering the whole thing, it is basically a mezuzah and has no mashkef. In there, such a case, if it doesn't have 10 tefachim, which is tall, then it would be put of a mezuzah. Now I'm talking now on a Pesach, which the whole Pesach is round, around Pesach. Yeah, you can see it sometimes in fancy houses, which the whole the whole thing is roundish. In such a case, if it doesn't have 10 tefachim, which is straight, then you don't have to put a mezuzah. If you have 10 tefachim, which is straight, that means it goes up 2 mezuzahs, and then on top it's an archway. In such a case, since you have 10 tefachim, which is straight, and only above of it is the archway, which this is more common in houses, then you should put a mezuzah. Now, where do you put the mezuzah? Where do you put the mezuzah? There's a machlokes of Rashi in the Rambam. According to the Rambam, we are considering 10 tefachim, which is straight, we are considering for a mezuzah. Then afterwards, when it turns, that's already the mashkuf. So again, if it's constantly roundish, that's the halacha before. Now we are talking about an archway, a regular archway, which goes up straight, and then on top it has roundish, but it has 10 tefachim, which is basically straight, because before we don't have 10 tefachim, which is straight. Now we have the 10 tefachim, so mechiv mezuzah. But where do you put the mezuzah? So according to the Rambam, you're considering the whole everything which is straight. That's the mezuzah. Once it starts turning, once you start becoming like the archway, it starts turning. That's the mashkuf. So since we're going to see soon that you have to put the mezuzah on shlishu elyon, that means you have to divide the mezuzah on three measurements, and on the shlishu elyon, on the third, the upper shlish, you have to put a mezuzah. According to the Rambam, you are considering only the 10 tefachim as the mezuzah. Therefore, you have to only the 10 tefachim divide in 3 and put it shlish elyon. So therefore, the mezuzah will be very low, because it's going to be shlish elyon only from the 10 tefachim. That's according to the Rambam. According to Rashi, is no. Rashi says even when it starts turning, it's still a mezuzah. Till where? Because if you're going to say everything is a mezuzah, then it's a mezuzah without a mashkoif, and then it should be potter. So Rashi says till it comes to a place which is dalat tefachim. That means from here, from here to from one finger to other finger is dalat tefachim. So from here and up is going to be the mashkoif. From here and down is going to be the mezuzah. So where do you have to put the mezuzah? Shlisha elyon is going to automatically be part also on the part which is turning. Yeah, hope it's clear. So that's b'chorek Rashi and Rambam. Lamasa we pasken that we are not like Rashi, we pasken like the Rambam, and we are considering the only where it's straight, that's considered mezuzah, and wherever it starts, the angle is going to be a mashkoif, and therefore you have to count the shlisha elyon only from the shlisha elyon from the straight place. So automatically the mezuzah is going to be very, very slow, very low. But again, that's how we pass.
Is it better if you could be yotze with both and to put it higher up?
You can't.
So to be
you can't put it higher up, because according to the Rambam, if you put it higher up, you're not yotze, because you're putting it on a mashkoif, and a mezuzah on a mashkoif, what is yotze giving?
Where is it according to Rashi?
What?
Where is the mezuzah according to Rashi? I had trouble understanding.
According to Rashi, you'll have to put it also on the where it gets slanty. Where it gets slanty.
If where it's slanty is very small.
One second. I'll show you. Give me a second. According to the Rambam, you only consider till here, till where it's straight. So you have to put the shlish elyon over here. According to the Rambam, to Rashi, this is also part of the mashkof only till it becomes dalat tefachim. Only till where the line is on top. From there it's dalat tefachim. Over there that's the mashkof. But till there it's part of the mezuzah. So therefore the mezuzah has to go much higher where it turns already. So therefore, if you put it, there's no way to be yotze both shittas. Because if you put it on, according to the Rashi, then it's on a mashkof. According to the Rambam, it's possible. If you're putting it lower, according to the Rambam, it's good. According to the Rashi, it's lamata meshisha elyon. So therefore, we pasking low like the Rambam, and especially we're going to see that there are some poskim. If you put it less than shlisha elyon, it's still kosher. Some poskim had no, we're going to see it come to that. So therefore, Milamaisa, we pass like the Rambam, and you only consider where it's straight, and over there you put the mezuzah. Sometimes you have a doorpost, which is, the right side is going to be 8 foot, the left side is going to be 6 foot. Yeah, it's on a slant. It's a slant. I don't know if in a house you can have it, but you can have it going into in a tzirus pesach, which goes into a chotzer, all these kind of things. Yeah, in such a case, then you have it goes slanty. If both are hechayit tvochem, if both in such a case, even if the lower part is hechet tzeit tvochem, in such a case we put them in a mezuzah, because some points can say like that, because there's a Gemara that pischei shamoy is potter. Now the machlokes is what is it considered pischei shamoy? There's a lot of shittas. What does it mean pischei shamoy? And one of the shittas is that pischei shamoy. This goes into this category that it is not straight. The mashkiv is on a slant. So according to this poisek, if it is, even if the lower part is hechet tzeit tvochem, and then it's still potted. But lamasa, there are other poiskim which say in such a case it is b'chiv b'mezuzah. So in such a case you'll put the mezuzah, if both sides has 10 tvochem, you're going to put it without a bracha.
In the summary book, and also in the Be'er Hativ, he brings, I think, it looks like, from what I understand, it says in the Taz says about the Machlekes Rashi and Rambam,
yeah,
that we would put it, that maybe you should put it higher. Is that what he's saying here? That maybe you should put it higher according to Rashi, then even according to Rambam, there will be a
this is how they write it. From whom? Who passes like that?
I think you take it from the Be'er Hativ in Be'er Hativ Sikat and Beis. The Dilma Kaimel and Karambam, the Sham Lemit started for Goiva, because the Maila Mash. There's near the Yesh Lass of Shisha Eldi and Hang Lamaila Mishnei species Lamat, the Kashikam Rambam, Avapish in the Ikum started in Goiva. I'm not sure I understand it completely.
I don't have the booklet, and I don't have the Baraita now, but okay, I'll have to look at it then again.
Okay, he brings it from the Taz.
What?
He brings it from the Taz.
Yeah, the Taz holds like that, but other poskim do not agree with that. Lamaisa, other poskim do not go with that.
Because here that he doesn't mention. He leaves it at that, but it's good to know that it's not necessarily the final opinion.
Yeah, the Chronim Paskin like the Rambam. They say that since the Mechaber brings down the Shittas Rambam, so you should put right now here. Okay, could be. If they're right over there, you have Später the Achronim bring down that you paskin that you should put it on the place where it's straight and not where the place where it's me'agin. I'll look in Blinei more, and hopefully by the next Shiur, even though it's going to be like Seduka, I'll try Blinei to go back to this Nikida.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's go to Simarash Paites. The end of Rash Pai Zayin is that you have Mechiv B'Mezuzah on every door, which we elaborated last week already, so you don't have to go over. Okay, Simarash Paites is Mokum Kiviyuse v'Kaitzed Nikbasi Berchusa. Zukt of them the Mechaber. Bula Kova Yanechene B'Shefer Shakuna. Okay, first of all, I want to start with halacha, which doesn't bring it on over here, but at least it is, you could put on a mezuzah at night. People, this is a question which people ask constantly. The Sefer Eshkel writes clearly, mezuzah could be put on at night. Okay. Now the Mechaber writes, Bu lekovoy, when you want to put in the mezuzah, you're going to put it in a shaferish hakuna, which basically it means pashtas like a bamboo, like something which is like a bamboo, something which grows, and you put it, it has a hole inside, and you push it inside, or you shall call duver or anything else, and you put it on the wall. Now, first of all, we have to understand, since the Mechaber writes if you're going to put it in Sheferish Hakuna, you have to make sure it should be protected, because a lot of times it's a thin, if the kun is very thin, the sun is going to burn it out and the ladders will fall down, water will come in. So therefore, B'chlal, we have to know when you put a mezuzah, you have to make sure it should be well protected. Therefore, you're putting outdoor mezuzahs, it's not kedai to put glass, a see-through glass ones. Sometimes you have glass ones or even lucite, because the sun will heat it up much more than the other ones. And they're special outdoor waterproof, and then you have no problem of water, because it might get damaged, and the mezuzah will get puzzled. Now, even though the Meshichanur shtayt, you should put it b'sheshverish hakuna, shtayt in the poiskem that yirai shemayim ru'eh l'chol ish, you should have a nice mezuzah holder, because they're kaili van vayi, not to put it into a chetiches kona, you should put it into a nice kli, and the poiskim bring down that it used to be a minig by the wealthy people. They used to put it in silver ones, gold ones, and regular people used to put it on in metal ones. Now metal ones, shtayt von das kedoshim, but Shuruf brings down from the B'Shem Tov, which is a popular B'Shem Tov, that you should not put it in a metal one, because Chazal say like Abba Mizbayach that it's not fair that you should put a metal on the Mizbayach, because the Mizbayach is made to be marich the arichas yomim, and metal is Rahman al-Islam the opposite. So therefore you shouldn't put metal on a Mizbayach, and the same will also be on a mezuzah, since mezuzah is a inyan l'mayirichi yimaychem. So therefore, you shouldn't put it in metal, and that's the minig Chabad. Usually, the minig is by us that we don't put it in the metal; we put it in loose see-through, because we can see. We want that we should be able to see the Shin Dalati, the Shem. A thing which comes up constantly by questions is the mezuzah holder of the mezuzah is considered tashmish kedusha, and therefore you have to put it in shaimas once you finish it, once you don't use it, or not. Now, if it is, the mezuzah is put into a plastic, which basically today's day, all of the mezuzahs are put into a plastic or into something else. So this is called tashmish the tashmish. Tashmish the tashmish does not need to have geniza. Although it's a machloikas, brother. Some say it's a geniza, but a kapunam, it's not 100% that the mezuzah holder, if it is put in the mezuzah, put in nylon or in baking paper, all these kind of things, there's a machloikas and there's mukim to be lenient. It might be a tashmish. Other people are yom achmer, because it's still considered tashmish, because not necessarily it is that the paper will be considered of the mezuzah. So therefore, if you could, you should put it in shaimas, but other poskim you don't need. But the nails, which I had 3 weeks ago, somebody asked me the same question: do I need to keep if I'm machmar on the mezuzah holder, do I need to be machmar also on the nails? And the answer is no. It's called tashbish mitzvah, and basically it doesn't need to have geniza. Okay. So next, the Mechaber says that you have to put the mezuzah and you make a bracha. Shekushuni b'mitzvos v'sivonu. Yeah. There steht Mechaber, the Loshen. V'tzurich levorich legvoy mezuzah. Yeah. Now the bracha has to be when you stand. There steht nimshtabrira simaches. The kaviyas putting on the mezuzah not necessarily has to be ba'amida, but the kapon the bracha needs to be ba'amida. If a person put on a mezuzah and it's mechiv to make a bracha, but he forgot to make a bracha. So there are some poskim which he was going to say that the halacha is the same as somebody forgot to put on the talis and he forgot to make a bracha. That since the mezuzah, since the talis, the mitzvah is still continuing because you are still in the you surrounded with the talis, dressed with the talis, so you can still make a bracha. So therefore, some poskim will say that this is also, if you put on a mezuzah, you forgot to make a bracha, you can still make the bracha afterwards, because every minute is do mitzvah for mezuzah. As we mentioned for last week at the beginning of the shiur, there's makayim mitzvah constantly. But there are some other poskim which say no, it's doim l'shchita, that once you shecht it, it's not considered anything ma'aseh mitzvah, and the mitzvah finishes, so to speak, of the kviyas hamazizah. And therefore, since we have a machloikas in the Samara Klal Sufik Bruchas Lehukl, we are not going to make a bracha anymore. If you gotta make a bracha, you don't make a bracha any time else. If the balabas wants to be a mechabat guest that everybody should put on a mezuzah, now there are some poskim which say it's not a problem that everybody, since everybody puts on a separate door, which is b'chibah mezuzah b'bracha, everybody puts on with a bracha and puts on the mezuzah with a bracha. So everybody makes separate a bracha. But the Alter Rebbe in Simar Aishid Gimel Sif Zayin says clearly, he talks about if a couple of people are making one mitzvah for one person, that means it's not for a couple of houses, it's for one person, which he has a house with a lot of rooms. For instance, they are taking challah from his doors, or they are kvayim mezuzah on his doors, or they are making bris milah for let's say the twin boys in Bashu Achas, right, at one time. They cannot, so to speak, everybody should make their own bracha. Only what should be that one person should make the bracha, and then everybody should go and put on the mezuzah. And since again we are Lubavitch Chasida, we come to the Alter Rebbe, if you have people that you want that they should put on mezuzahs, you only one person makes the bracha, and prefer that the balabas should make the bracha, and all of the people could put on the mezuzah, and that should not make a bracha on it. Okay.
Does it make a difference?
What?
Does it make a difference if the person making the bracha is a man or woman? The balabas is a man.
If it makes a difference, it is kedai to be a man, because we're going to see soon regarding women putting on mezuzahs. Although we paskin lamasa that the women are machiv when mezuzah, the Shekhanuch says it clear, but it's do gewisse poiskim which say that the ma'arra. So therefore, it's kedai a man should put on the mezuzah and make the bracha. Yeah.
So if she owns the house and you're helping her put a mezuzah, she can make a bracha on the first one, and then you can help put the rest of them on.
Yes.
Without making a bracha.
Yes. Yeah. Correct. Okay, so where do you put a mezuzah? So the Mechaber Nasibai says, "Aizemukim kivusoi has to be betoch chlal pesach. The tefech has sumach lechitz, and the tefech which is sumach lechutz." And as we mentioned last week, why tefech sumach lechutz? 2 reasons: or because we want that right away when you come and walk in the door, you should see Yichud Hashem, which the whole Indian of mezuzah is you should see Yichud Hashem. Or the second reason is because we want it should be the whole house should be a shmir. So then you put it there you put the mezuzah. Now, sometimes you have a scenario which you have a door which you have a double door, so to speak. One door is, I mentioned it last week, I want to go over just a minute again. If you have a door which has double doors, if you use both doors, then basically both doors are doors, and you put it on the mashkav all the way on the right side. If the right door is locked staple, it's not a thing which you use, it's locked, it's closed, that you don't use it, then the wall goes automatically, the second staple wall is a part of the wall, and you put it on the door itself, because that's the mashkav. That's not, the mashkav is not all the way in the right side, and you put it on the door. If you put it on, in a case which you have two doors, and you put it on the door which is you open from time to time, then it's possible, because you didn't put it on the mezuzah, you put it on a dais. Now, sometimes you're going to have a long mezuzah. Yeah, you have a mezuzah which was going to be, I would say, 3 feet. Yeah, in the big commercial buildings, you're going to see that. The mashkav comes only a feet, but the mezuzah comes 3 feet. So we know we have to put a tefach hasum lachitz. But say tefach hasum lachitz is only where you have a mashkav. Wherever you don't have a mashkav, it's not considered tefach hasum lachitz. So in such a case that you have 3 feet mezuzah, but the mashkav is tilted in and it's only 1 foot wide, you can see the tefach hasum lachitz only which is under the mashkav and not outside from the mezuzah. If a person, again, so where do you have to put it? B'shlish ho'elyon. That means you take the doorpost, you divide it in three pieces. The upper shlish, over there you put the mezuzah. If you put it lower than that, according to the Rambam, it's possible. As we pass the Shulchan Aruch, you have to take it off and put it on the proper way and put it back. But you should not make a bracha, because since the Torah holds that even if you put it lamata meshlish elyon, it's still kosher. So therefore, although the Mechaba Paskins like the Torah, you should put it the shlish elyon, take it down, put it shlish elyon, but don't make a bracha. What does it need to be b'shlish elyon? The bar of the mezuzah. That means no part of the mezuzah should be lamata meshlish elyon. Some people will make the calculation and they'll take shlish elyon the top. No, the bottom from the mezuzah has to be shlish elyon. The whole mezuzah has to be shlish elyon. If you have a very big doorpost, a tall doorpost, yeah, 10, 12, 15, 20, sometimes you have even 20 feet, which is very tall. You have it in usually you're going to have it old houses, real old houses, which have very large doors, or you're going to have it in warehouses, which real big tall houses. Where do you put the mezuzah? Do you put it shlish elyon, or you put it lower than that? Now Yerushalmi says, if you have a high mezuzah, you put it where it is banka saifaf. You measure where your kasayvav are, which is about 5 feet, and you put it over there. You don't put it shlish elyon. But pashtas in Bavli, in our shas, not in Yerushalmi, in Bavli, is pashtas mashmeno. Only such it goes only shlish elyon, has nothing to do banka saifaf. So a pashtas, it's a machlokas Yerushalmi and Bavli. Yerushalmi says in such a case you put it by your shoulders, shoulder height. According to the Bavli, you put it shlisha elyon in any case. Rav Rishonim, which is the Rev, the Rambam, the Tur, the Mikei Yosef, bring only the halacha of shlisha elyon, and they did not mention at all the Inyan Yerushalmi. So according to this poiskim, basically, according to our poiskim, which pass like the Bavli, even a Torah which is very high, you're going to put it shlisha elyon and not by Kesaifov. Lamasa, what is Lamasa? Lamasa is a big machloikes achroinim, and according to the Taz and some other poskim, it is you're going to put it according to shlisha elyon. I know there are some poiskei anash which paskin, which I once also paskin like that it depends. If it is a little bit a tall ceiling, that means it's not a six. Usually a door is 6 feet. If it is, let's say, 8 feet, so then you go shlisha elyon and you put it a little bit higher, but it's still reachable. But if it's very tall, then you put it by Kesaifov. But Lamasa, when I went over this whole sigi again, I came to the conclusion, especially that I heard that the Rebbe Rashab's house in Rostov, which Rabbi Levine, Rav Beir Levine confirmed with me, that in the Rebbe Rashab's house, they had very tall doors. And according to the place where the holes was for the mezuzah, we see that he paskin taka, like most Rishonim, and like the Bavli, and even a door which is very high, you put it shlisha elyon. So therefore, the minik Chabad is like the Rebbe Rashab. Even in a high mezuzah, you don't put it by Kesaifov, you put it where it is shlisha elyon.
Does it still have to be reachable, or?
No, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be reachable. Okay, then the Mechaber says it has to be Yemin HaNechtnas. It goes Yemin HaNechtnas. The way where you go in the house, you put it on the right side. Derech Bias, the way how a person walks in the house, the right side, which walks in, there you have to put the mezuzah. And even if a person is a lefty, which when it comes to Asam Alochas, then by the right side is our left side, but when it comes to this, has to do with the bias, derech Bias, and you put it on the right side. And if you put it on the left side, the mezuzah, basically it is possible. So the Mechaber says further, Mi shecholik baisoy l'shnayim. Siv Gimel. A person had a house, he divided it in half, made 2 apartments from one house. In every side, he has a Pesach Pesach Rabim. Then you have a door which goes in from one room to the other room. Yeah? So where do you put the mezuzah? Zug the Mechaber, mamukim she'oyse chir, shebesaf, shetzira adel soivev, you put the mezuzah that way. That means it's called in our language, you're going to haketzir. What does that mean? It means since we don't know, since both you don't know if you're going in from apartment A to apartment B, or you're going in from apartment B to apartment A, because you could go into every apartment through the Rishis Harab. So therefore, how do we want to know where the door belongs? Wherever the door opens up, haketzir, then that side, the door belongs to that side, and you put it on the right side of the door. Now, the poskim have also other simonim when in a case where we want to know which room is the main. So there is the poskim have about four simonim. The first one is panimi. Whatever is more in the back, so automatically you're going into that room because that's panimi. Then boys can bring a tnai, which is called Iker Shimish from the Balabos. Not the Benai Bais, the Balabos. That means the way how the Balabos uses the most. Like, so for instance, most of the people will go from A to B, but the Balabos is going to go from B to A. So you put it on the right side, going from B to A. The third simon which they give is Iker Shimesh Achayde. That means which way is the most usable, that room. Which room is more usable? So automatically the door will be for that room. And the final one, the fourth one, is Heker Tzir. Now over here by Asa Shulchan Aruch, it is only, we only know of the inner of Heker Tzir. The Shulchan Aruch only brings down the inner of Heker Tzir and doesn't bring this all other three Simonim. Now, when it comes to, it's still Nagaya, this Nagina, this Inyonim, which were, Primi, Iker Shimesh Shel Balabais, Iker Shimesh Shel the Achaydet. It is Nagaya when you don't have a door. So you don't have Heker Tzir. In such a case, how do we know if you're going in from A to B or to B to A? So therefore, you're going according to Panimi, or you're going to Shimesh of Balabas, or whatever it should be, you're going in, you make this Simon. But all these things basically, it will be Nagaya for most of the people on the world. But for us, when it has a Heker Tzir, it's not Nagaya. That means for us, it's also Nagaya, all these halachas. For instance, if it doesn't have Heker Tzir, there's no door. But if it does have a door, is the minig Chabad, as we know, that we always go Heker Tzir with two exceptions. Pesach, which comes from outside, a Pesach which comes from outside, so it will always be going into the house. And even if the door opens outward, you're still going to put the mezuzah on the right side of the house. The second exception is if it is a room which has no windows, has no way to come into that room, only this way, then we are going to go the right side going in. But other than that, we are going to go, that's minig Chabad, as we know, the famous that the Rebbe Rashab brought from his father, that we always go according to Heker Tzir. When you asked him how we come in, he says through the window, coming from the window. As long as there is a way how to come in, or from the roof, whatever, if there is any opening, that we are going to go according to Heker Tzir.
If there's no Heker Tzir?
What?
You go first. How about South Shore? You go.
I can't hear you.
Thank you. If there's no Heker Tzir, then is there any
then
preference
we
as far
go
as...
to the other Simonim, which, as I mentioned before, Primi, Iker Shimesh of the Chayr, all the other Simonim which we mentioned before. Then we go to them. We have to see which one is the more important, which is more usable. How do you go usually in? What you use more? All these other things. But what?
Are one of those Simonim more important than the other? Let's say
yes, it goes the way how I mentioned. First one is Panimi. The first one is Panimi, the most inner. The second, the Chshivas is Iker Shimesh from the Balabas. And third is the Iker Shimesh of a Cheder. It goes according to this yes.
Shaila.
Yeah.
Are you saying that coming in from the outside of a back door is the same as a front door goes on the right side?
I'm saying that exactly. Yeah.
Across the board.
Although I know there's a machlokes of Arbonei Anash exactly on this Nakida, but I pass according to those Rabonei Chabad. There's a lot of Rabonei Chabad which pass like I said, and I'm going that way too, because and there's a lot of other reasons which I don't want to. I wrote about that the kidda, but again, it's not for now. But yes, even if you go in a case that basically is outdoor, that you could come from Rishis Harab into that door, yes, it is going to be according to I know there's a big famous Machloikes Tisha Rabonei Anash on the subject, and this is how I am paskening that as long as it's outdoor door, and so therefore it is you're going this way. Rav Heller has a nice, beautiful piece in Aris Rule, our journal, Gillian Samach Bais, to explain that a lot of Achroinim are vividly against this whole shit of Heker Tzir. Today's Achroinim, because Bapashas Shechanurich we don't see it goes like that way. But Rav Heller wrote a beautiful piece again in Aris Rule, Gillian Samach Bais. It's kedai to read it through if you learn exposition well. That he explains that this is basically Das Rambam. He has a whole shot. It shows how the Rambam, the way how the Rambam writes his whole Nakida, and therefore that's the shit of Rambam. And this is how we go. And that's how we are going to paskin in when there's Heker Tzir. If it is a porch which goes out from out the door again. If it is a porch, then you could go come out from the window. If it's an enclosed porch, which it's enclosed, you cannot go down all the way to the street. In such a case, we're going to go hekertzir, because it is as if it's a room. There's a shtamshus, a marpeset is like a room, so the shtamshus, and therefore you're going hekertzir. If it is going down, it goes into the machloikas of Rabuna Yanash. If it is, because since you could go to the Shisarab, so it goes into the machloikas which I mentioned before, a back door, if you go heketzir or not. If it doesn't go, if you don't have heketzir, because sometimes you have sliding doors, I would say not sometimes, most of the times you have sliding doors, which you don't really have a heketzir. So then, if it is enclosed porch, you're going to put it basically going out. If it is not enclosed porch, you can go to the back, to the back. You could go from downstairs coming up into the house. You're going to put it towards going into the house.
When you say a closed porch, you mean that it's mamish like a room that's closed?
No, I don't mean it's a room. I mean to say it doesn't have steps to going down. You cannot go down from that. It's like a room. It doesn't have a roof, but it's still like a room. If it doesn't have a roof, why are you mechiyev to put the mezuzah? We know last week we mentioned the bay sha'ayin gag is put them in the mezuzah. The answer is because since the way of ishtamish of a porch is without a gag, so therefore it is mechiyev mezuzah as it is like that. Okay, then we see Dalet Kaitzit cover.
A question?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a porch and there's a sliding door, one door is fixed, you put it on this second door, on the fixed door?
Yes. Because the second door, as I mentioned before, when we went through that before and also a little bit last week, since it's fixed, it is a wall. It's not a door. So you have to put it on that.
Even if it's narrow and it's outside?
Yeah, what's the difference? Is there any sheer how big thick the wall should be?
So basically you can't really see the mezuzah then. It's behind the door. You're never going to get to it.
Why?
It's a big sliding door, and the door doesn't open all the way. So it seems like behind the door.
What? Why? You put it on the door, which is staple, and once you open the door, you have the mezuzah there.
If the door doesn't open all the way, it's a big door.
Okay. But when you go out or you come in, it depends which way it is. When you go, once you open the door, you can touch it if you want. But anyway, finish the guy if you could touch it or not. But Bechal, you could touch it, even touch it you could. What's the problem?
Okay.
If you have a sliding door,
yeah.
This is staple. This is the sliding door which goes here, yeah?
Right.
So you have to put it over here. Why can't you put it just over here?
Okay, facing outside. Facing outside. Facing outside.
This depends how as I mentioned before. This is totally if it's a closed porch. If it's not closed porch.
A closed porch.
Closed porch. Okay, so then in such a case you're going it way out, and so then you put it outside. Yeah.
Facing outside. Outside facing out.
Once you open the door, outside you go out, and then you can see on the right side you have the door. Exactly.
Okay.
What is the problem? Okay, next case. The Machaber Sif Dalet. The Mezuzah has to be has to be strong to put on the doorway. It should not be loose. It's very important. Halacha, some people are putting it with some Scotch tape, and that's a problem because that's not considered putting it boifen with daftzazan. You have to have mismoirem or at least good glue. You have to glue it up, and if it's not mechiber properly, chiber gumar on the mezuzah pesach, according to some poskim, it is as if it's called tola b'makl and it's possible. So therefore, you have to make sure you put it properly as it should be. Therefore,
can you put?
Yeah.
Can you use I think it's called thumb tags, like it's like a little pin, like a push pin?
Again, if it's strong and it's gonna hold, it's gonna keep. It won't fall down once people are touching the mezuzah. If they want to kiss it, then it's good. If not, then it's a problem. I doubt the thumb tag should hold it. Only if it's really hacked in all the way. And you could touch it and nothing will fall down. That's considered like a nail. But if you have the other ones which have the piece which is sticking out, the plastic one that's sticking out, it's almost impossible it should stay too long. But again, there's a technical thing you should see if it sticks.
Velcro
is also good. If it's mechiber over there, it's like tfira, and it won't fall down, then it's not a problem. But again, you have to make the judgment. It's strong. Even in scotch tape, if you do it properly, with regular thick, wide scotch tape, it might be good. But some people just put on a piece of scotch tape, 2-3 pieces of small thin scotch tapes, and it falls out in no time. Then, another thing, there are some mezuzahs which is it goes like this. You put on the mezuzah, you put on like a piece of blech, a piece of what is called metal, and then on that you put on the mezuzah on it. Yeah, the mezuzah holder itself is such a mezuzah holder, which is basically a piece of metal. Yeah, you have a piece of metal, and then you put it on top, and it's very easy to come out. Now, sometimes it's special build that you have to push it in, it becomes one piece and won't fall. But sometimes you put the first piece on top, on the wall. It's not one piece, so to speak. It's not, the screw does not go into both pieces. You put in the bottom part with nails, and then you push on the cover with the mezuzah. And then this is the problem of Toleb and Makl, and you have a problem. So therefore, there are mezuzah holders. There are a lot of fancy mezuzah holders which is problematic. For instance, there's also a mezuzah holder which is a wooden piece which you put on the wall, and then it has 2 rings coming out from the wood, and has a glass which you put in the mezuzah over there. And this is the poskim which have an issue with this mezuzah, because they hold that there is a hefsik avir between the mezuzah and the wall, and the mezuzah has to be on the wall mamash, and shouldn't be any hefsik. Now, other poskim have no problem with it. The Das K'nishim says it's okay, but you have the Shaivet Alayvi, I think he brings down from the Chazanish, but other poskim that if you have a hefsik avir, it's a problem. So again, once you buy a mezuzah, make sure it should be a mezuzah which is good according on the poskim, and it should be on the wall, on the mezuzah itself, and you should make sure that it's tight, that it's not removable. The upper part which the mezuzah is on top of it, inside, it shouldn't be removable.
Unless you're taping the mezuzah itself to the wall, every case has a separation.
No, there's no air. The whole case goes on the wall, on the mezuzah itself.
Okay.
That one is a wooden piece. You saw it in fancy houses, and it goes out like a piece of wood with two round pieces of wood and a round glasses inside. So basically, you have a space between the wall, and it's not on the mashkef. Then the Shulchan says also, or you should put it into the wall. And this is how you do it usually when you live between goyim, and you're afraid they're going to rip off the mezuzah. So then you make in the mezuzah, you made a hole. You put in the mezuzah inside, even standing, because if you put it late, it's not kosher. You put it standing, then you cover it up, and that's also considered it's on the mezuzah. It's as the vidarshli v'sharechu. It is on the shar itself. Some poskim will say, but even though in such a case, you should make sure that it should be visible. The mezuzah, you should see there's a mezuzah. That means not you should make it, flush with the whole mezuzah. You put inside the mezuzah, but nobody knows that there's a mezuzah. You should make sure that basically it should be hecker outside. It should be visible that it is a mezuzah. At least the Shem Shin Daladit should be visible. And the reason is very partial, because the whole mitzvah, as you mentioned before, is that because we want it should be Yichud Hashem when a person comes into the house, he goes out, he should see the mezuzah and have Yichud Hashem. So therefore, we want that you should be visible, and therefore you should make sure that it should be a little bit open, or some kind of simmer that there is a mezuzah over there, it should remind you of Yichud Hashem. If the reason is because Shmira, I don't care if nobody sees it. It's still a Shmira. But if it's because Yichud Hashem, so therefore it should be some kind of visible. But again, if you didn't do it, the Chalz is the Chalz Kushis. And it's not possible such a case. It's not Lekiva. No, say you should have this kind of things. What do you say?
So the Chatchila, you should make sure to have a see-through case and not one of the plastic they can't see through.
This is Bechal Minik Chabad. That's one of the reasons Minik Chabad that you have the loose height. You should have loose side ones and not plastic ones because you should see the Shi and the Aladi, the Shi should see the Mezuzah. Correct. Yeah.
So only when in places where you dafka need it to be covered, let's say for
then you put it, yeah, exactly.
I think I'm not mistaken, 770.
What?
But in the Rebbe's room, wasn't it like a plastic, like one of those like not see-through? Just has a shin on top of it. I'm not thinking.
Yeah. But was it not see-through? I don't know. I never.
No, the Rebbe had shin paper. It was white paper with a shin on it.
Yeah, it wasn't see-through.
It wasn't.
The Rebbe's house also was not see-through.
The what?
The Rebbe's house was also not see-through.
And was not see-through. Okay.
They made a simple paper case, so the mezuzah is more chashuv, like our minhag with everything.
Why? Oh, you mean it's not the fancy?
The case is more simple. The mezuzah is nicer.
Okay.
Was that a reason that was officially given, or? That's
what I always heard. You try to simplify the tuffle, and the ikr should be high quality. That's what I heard.
Okay, makes sense.
It could also be that's what the Sefer was able to make at the time.
Yeah, also true. In some places you need such a thing. Some places you have a door, which if you have a regular case, the fancy doors, which is more or less some kind of flat, you won't be able to open the door without knocking into the mezuzah. So therefore, in such a cases, you need to have a mezuzah which is flat through paper.
Did you say in such a case it needs to be upright fully, and otherwise it's not?
It should be what?
Should be fully upright.
What do you mean fully upright?
I
only mentioned when we say you put it in Batevich in the door, it means that the mezuzah still has to be this way or even this way, but you cannot put it in this way. Lafike, if you put it on this way, I want to avoid, you shouldn't have the think that you put it into a tefich the way in this way inside. No.
Sure.
When he said before, the glass case, you shouldn't put in a glass tube. Does that mean even if the glass tube is touching the wall? Like, let's say it's a glass tube. Somebody posted a picture of a case where it's a wooden back and a glass tube, but if the glass tube is touching the wooden back, is that okay? Or there has to? Or,
yeah, if there is no air between these two things and it's one piece, then it should be fine because it becomes there's no air. That should be fine. Sometimes the big ones are away a quarter of an inch or whatever. If it's right away on the wood, it's not a problem.
Thank you.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is there a need? Let's say a mezuzah case has a little bit more space in it than the mezuzah takes up. Do you need to tape or attach the mezuzah to the case, or can it be loose in the case?
It could be loose. The only problem is once it's loose, we are afraid sometimes it will turn. It's not that common it should turn because it's closed, but we are afraid it should turn, and the Shi Dalatid will not be against you. But Me'ikar Adin, it's not a problem. They do it because of that, because sometimes if it's very loose, by the time you put it up on the door, it switches already. You shockle it. Once it's on the door, nothing is going to happen. But by the time putting it in, closing it up, and it's loose, it's going to turn. And that's why they put so from today's they put a piece of tape. That's the reason why. Okay. Another thing about the tefach.
Is this what I was saying before about the door?
Yeah.
The door slides to the right.
Okay.
So you'd put it on the door on the left is the moving door, and the one on the right is a fixed door. So you put it on the top of the right door.
Yes.
Outside.
You put it on the top of the right door because the right door is a part. It's not a door. It's a wall. It's glass.
It's a wall.
But basically, it is a wall. So you put it on top of that. Yeah.
On top, outside, facing outside. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. We just said that you shouldn't put it in more, but deeper than tefach from the wall. Now, let me just clarify one thing. If you have a door which is 98% closed, but it's still a door, it's open when you need to, when there's a guest or whatever it is, a double door, yeah? You have a double door, which the left door is usually used, the right door is not used, b'chlal, only when there's guest or whatever. So it's still a door. You don't put it on the door. You put it on the mashkef. So I want to just emphasize that such a case, it's not considered that it is far away from the door at tefach, because they have the whole 4 feet, which the right door is, because since the right door is also considered as a door, so it is considered when it's on the mashkev, it's tefach asumach lachitz. It's still within the tefach. I just wanted to verify because someone once asked me this question. If you use the left door, the right door is most of the time closed. So when you put it all the way outside of the mezuzah, it is from the door which you walk in, it is further away from tefach asumach lachitz. And the answer is, we don't care if it's more than tefach asumach lachitz from the door which you walk in. It shouldn't be in the mezuzah all the way a tefach inside, which is a tefach far away from the mezuzah, from the door. And since the right door is still considered a door, then you're right. Now, in such a case, then it is staple, it's a wall, you cannot open it. So then, if you put it on the mezuzah, it's like more than tefach asumach lachitz. It's all the way inside, and it's like a neshgit. That's why I said you have to put it on the door, on the staple door, and not all the way by the mezuzah. Then the Mechaber says in Sif Hai, cover b'mezuzah ha'pesach b'oide telusha, v'achkach chibra l'pesach psula. The person had, I mentioned it last week, but now over here is the Mechaber. If a person buys a pre-hung door, and he puts on the mezuzah, and then he puts on the whole door on the tir, it's possible. Was the psil? Because the psil is tasi v'loy minausu. You have to put on the mezuzah, you have to do your pe'ila, and not put on your osi. It becomes automatic. So now you didn't put on the mezuzah. The mezuzah was already on the doorpost, but the doorpost was not a kosher doorpost, and therefore it's possible. Now, when we say tasi v'loy min osi, is not only when you put on the mezuzah on a place which is when it's possible. Even if it is not machiv mezuzah, then it becomes machiv mezuzah. It's still a problem of tasi v'loy min osi. For instance, a person has a cheder, a room which doesn't have a roof, and a room in a house which doesn't have a roof is potem and a mezuzah. He put on the mezuzah on that roof in any case. He thought that it's like a porch, and he put on a mezuzah. And then he built a roof on top of it. So now, this is tasi v'loy min osi, because when you made it a room which is mechiba mezuzah, it has a mezuzah already. You put on a place which is potem in a mezuzah, and when you put it on, it is already automatically done, so therefore it's possible tasi v'loy min osi. The same will be another thing. You have a room which is not dalat al dalat, a small room. Then you made an extension, but still you put on a door, you still put on a mezuzah on it, on the door. Then you built an extension, and you opened up the small room, became a bigger room, a large room. So now, till now, it's potem mezuzah because it was less than dalat al dalat. Now, when you opened up, it is a mezuzah, a room which is mezuzah. You have to take it off and put it back again. The same will also be another scenario. If a person put on a mezuzah on a house of a goy, which a goy's house is potem and a mezuzah, and because the goy asked him to put on a mezuzah, and then he purchased that house from the goy. Now it's mechiv mezuzah because now it's a Yiddish house. Till now it's a goyish house. Now it is a Yiddish house in mechiv mezuzah. All these scenarios, it's the mezuzah is possible because tasu v'loy min ha'osi. It is made automatically, and therefore it is. You should not make. You should put take it down and put the mezuzah. Now, what's about the bracha? So now, if the psil is a psil which is the choladayas, the choladayas, the psil is a psil. For instance, a house which did not have a roof, or a house which belonged to a goy, which the choladayas is potem and a mezuzah. Now, when you take it off and you put it back, you can make a bracha because the whole mezuzah was not a mezuzah. If it was in the scenario which I mentioned, it was a small room which is less than dalet, but it had kedai l'rabaya. Or even though that, according to some poskim, has to be dalet, and it's not enough, efshel l'rabaya. And that's why we mentioned, if it is a case which efshel l'rabaya, you could make it, it's 36 square feet, you should put on without a bracha. In such a case, it's a machloikas. In such a case, you should take it down if it becomes mechiber mezuzah chaladais and put it back without a bracha, because Kasaf, you had posting which said that the first time it was also kosher mezuzah, and you don't make a bracha. But if it's the chaladais was possible or the potman mezuzah, then basically you could make a bracha also.
Is there ever an issur of Baal Toisif that you're doing an aveda by putting mezuzah?
By putting a mezuzah when you're not mechiyev?
Yeah.
No. If putting a mezuzah where it's mamish possible, that's no point. I'm seeing. I mean, it's not. There's no chiv by no one. It's no point. And in some places you cannot put. For instance, you want to put in a washroom, you cannot. A washroom goes into a toilet or to a toilet, whatever. But the stam. What's the point from putting a place with the zamchim mezuzah? But if you have one shitta, which holds that you should put without a bracha. But even if you put it, if a place which it's bottom mezuzah is nicht kambal toisef. But toisef you're going to put two mezuzahs. Now, if you have a bias which bottom mezuzah, not because, as we mentioned before, it belongs to a goy, it has no tikra. It is bottom mezuzah because it is less than 30 days. You rent a house, and you're renting a house without a lease, and so basically, in bechitz leuretz, and when you rent a house and it's less than 30 days. You put him in a mezuzah, and then you're living over there 30 days. It is not tasav lo minusi. Now we mentioned last week that according to Milik Chabad, a person the first 30 days he puts a mezuzah right away without a bracha. Then when it comes to 30 days, he takes it off, gives it boiding zan, and then when he puts it back, he makes a bracha. But if a person did not do that, he put it in the 30 days, and he kept it. He didn't take it down. Even in such a case, where all the poskim will say you don't need to make a bracha, not that means you don't have a lease or you're not sure you're going to stay for 30 days. You thought maybe you're not going to stay for 30 days, and so therefore it's potem and mezuzah. But it's potem and mezuzah, not the bias. It's not potem and mezuzah. It's not bias. It's potem and mezuzah. It's not mechisel zman. In such a case, we don't say it's tasav lo min osi, and it's okay. You don't have to take it off and put it back. Again, the minig will be that you should take it off and put it back. And being boy, they can put it back with the bracha, but again, with halacha, it's not tasav lo min osi.
Rabbi, I might have missed this in another class. What's the reason for the Chabad minig of the 30 days? The 30 days
that you should
put it up without
right away. That you should put it right away
without a bracha, and then take it off and check it.
Because first of all, there are poskim which say that when you move in a house and you're going to stay over 30 days, then you could put in within the 30 days too. So if you could, that means you're mechiv. And there are poskim like Rav Oz and others which says that if you sign a lease, then for sure you could make a bracha right away. So by us, we didn't want to rely on this to make a bracha, because by Chabad, was very chumar. So therefore, for andere Zat, you didn't want to be without a mezuzah. So therefore, you put a mezuzah. You have the inyan of having a mezuzah, but you don't make a bracha. Then you take it off and you put it on when it's a holidays.
That's what Chabadska should do.
The what? Yes, that's the way the Rebbe writes that. If the Rebbe writes it, that's the way a Chabadska should do. Yes. Another scenario, which the poskim bring, and they ask if they of tasav lo min osi. Sometimes you have a door post which is from metal, or it is from marble, which is very hard to put on a mezuzah over there. So what are you going to do? You're going to take a piece of plywood, a small piece, you cut it, you put on top of it the mezuzah, and then you put this on top of the doorpost. This is not considered tas v'lo mina osi. Although you put it on the piece of wood before you put it on the door, but we say that the piece of wood becomes, so to speak, part of the mezuzah halter. It becomes part of the mezuzah holder. And therefore, in such a case, it's not called tas v'lo mina osi, and it is sikusher. Sivov, zegt de Mechaber, tzricha liya zekufa, orkeler oirich mezuzah pesach. Has to be zekufa, has to be sitting zoikev, standing. And the v'chayna hagi, aber yesh omrim shepsul. The Ramo adds on that some poskim say it's possible. If it is standing, you have to put it lying. So again, there's a machlokes of Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam, how you put the mezuzah. Basically, how not to put the mezuzah. Not how to put, how not to put. Shittas Rashi is, you cannot put it lying down. If you put it lying down, it's possible. So what? You put it standing. Shittas Rabbeinu Tam is that the mezuzah should not be standing and it should be lying down. That's the way how it should do. It should go. This is the Mechaber brings, we paskin like Rashim Ikeradin. And that means that's why the Mechaber paskins, the mezuzah has to be standing, because you cannot put it right tam, laying. The Ramo brings the shit Rabbeinu Tam, that's soft Rabbeinu Tam. So therefore, we are putting it slanty. You're putting it slanty, not because in such a case it is like Rabbeinu Tam and like Rashi. That means it's not the pshat that your yoitze, by slanting it, your yoitze is ashnaim. Because it is as if it lies and it's as if it's standing. Then the kid said the is, since I mentioned a minute ago that the machlokes is a Rashi by Tam, how it should not be. So since Rashi's Nakida is, it should not be lying, and the Rabbeinu Tam's Nakida is, should not be standing. So once you put it standing, so your yoitze with two shittas. But it doesn't mean that when you put it in standing, it is standing and laying. Since the Nakid Sadurim is, it's not lying and not standing, so therefore it's going to buy the shittas. And this is how the minig is, and this is the minig how B'chayna Hagim Medinas Aili. Good. Now, if a person cannot put it sheaf, slanty, he should put it straight, because after all, the Ikeradin we pass like shittas Rasha, and therefore sometimes you have doors which is very thin. Mashkev, mezuzah is very thin, glass doors or some fancy doors which is very thin. In such a case, you are going to put it, you could put it, but only if you put it in a way that it is standing. You have a very thin mashkev, then you put it when it's straight. Because then you cannot be yoitzi dashina. Then you have to go meikar ladin, which is Lashitas Rasha. Now,
are we saying a slant mamish, like 90 degrees, like exactly in a slant, or a little more standing, a little more lying makes difference?
It doesn't have to be with a millimeter, but usually they try to be more or less a 90 degree. But the ikar is, as I mentioned before, since the Nakid Sadurim is shouldn't be standing, shouldn't be laying. So as long as it's slanty, if it's not even it's 90 degrees, also beseder. Because according to Rabbeinu Tam, it's not straight. Sometimes you're going to have a place which you cannot be put on mezuzah all the way on that, because you have a very thin mashkev and it's a glass door, and you cannot, once you close it over there, you cannot put the mezuzah. In such a case, you're going to put the mezuzah outside on the wall, so to speak. And our gam, according to a lot of poskim, such a way you're not yoitzah the mezuzah. It's bottom in the mezuzah. But since we have no option, and there are some poskim which say that it is okay to put such a way, in a case which you have no choice, only then you're going to put it on the, so to speak, on the side, on the wall. So you're not going to make a brocha in such a case. Now, once you put it you're putting it slantly, make sure that it should be slanty. The Shema should be inside. That means it should be Shema should be up, and the bottom should be outside. That means the Shema should be knappe plim, and the Visherech should be klappe chutz. If you didn't do it that way, that means you made it this way slanty, but the Evitz is kosher, but after we can, the poiskim, you should take it down and fix it and put it back, without a bracha. If you put the mezuzah opposite, that means you turned it over mamash upside down. Shema is downstairs towards the floor, and if it's towards the ceiling. According to Rav Poiskim, and also this is how the Alter Rebbe Paskins in Simalam advice in Kinters Achran, Sifkot and Tezvov, the Alter Rebbe Paskins also like this Poiskim. It's possible, and you have to take it down and fix it properly. But you should not make a bracha, because there are yesh misha oimer that you don't have to make a bracha. According to a lot of most Poiskim, if you should make a bracha. Some Poiskim say a bracha you shouldn't make, but at least you have to take it down and turn it over on the regular side. So possible it is, but some Poiskim will say in such a case you should make a bracha. So therefore we are not going to make a bracha. The same is going to be also if a person did not. The halacha is that you have to be koyrech, you have to be goylel the mezuzah from in to out. That means Shema should be outside. It means you start from Ivisharechu, you start from the end, you roll it this way, and like the Megillah, that the should be outside. The same as also Shema should be outside, and not it should be rolled other side. If you did roll it the other side, that means you start from inside, from outside, and if Shirech is outside, but the Evid is not Akav. But that's only in such a case that you started from Shema and you went, the Shirech is outside. If you rolled it from the bottom to top, this way, this way you rolled it, or you rolled it from top to the bottom, in such a case, it's going to be possible. So again, when it's not possible, when you rolled it, that Shema is inside and the Visherech is outside. Like it should be vice versa. That means if Visherech inside, and why? What's the reason? Basically, the reason is because we want you should be able to read the mezuzah the way how you go in. So therefore, once you go in, you start reading from Shema and not backwards from the end to the front. Okay, see, similar Reish Tzadik Aleph. Zug the Mechaber, Reish Tzadik is exactly how you write the mezuzah. That's not Negaya, but Reish Tzadik Aleph is Negaya. A mezuzah from a person has to be, we have to be boidig a mezuzah, the Mechaber, Lush Mechaber, mezuzah is Yuchit, Nivdekes, Pamayim, B'Shei Bashunim. You have to be boidig a mezuzah twice in 7 years. That means every 3.5 years you have to be boidig a mezuzah. The Shel Rabim, if it is a public mezuzah from a shar, from a shar, a chotzer, or not a chotzer, of a Medina, as we mentioned last week, shar Medina is b'chibah mezuzah. In such a case, you put it once in 25 years and not one in 3.5 years. Why? The reason is that you have to be boidek once in 3.5 years. Because why is it different than a tefillin that we have a loch and similar amates yid? That tefillin, once you have kosher tefillin, you put it into the bottom, you never ever have to check it again. And the reason is because a mezuzah is exposed. It's outdoors, is exposed to sun, it's exposed to water, to rain, it's exposed to humidity, has exposure. So therefore, the mezuzah could become possible, could become possible. So therefore, Chazal that you have to be boidik once in 3.5 years. Today's day, there are poskim which are machmad also on film. They say that since we are wearing it every day, we have to still be boidik it more often. Especially today's, which the poskim want to say that today's the dioi, the ink which you write the mezuzah today's day, is an ink which is much more to crack and much more accessible that it should crack, it should fall off. And the Matziz shows that tefillin even today's day could become possible. Therefore, today's day, a lot of poskim say that tefillin is not like it says in Shulchan Aruch, you don't have to be boidek. Even tefillin should be boidek more often. Again, us, the Rebbe asked and wanted, and basically it's Shleishim Matafraim, that once a year you should be boidek the tefillin mezuzahs, which is basically Shodesh Elul, Yerushalayim. Matafraim brings down the Yerushalayim should be boidek every Elul, and the Rebbe pushed it a lot. And it's kedai to do it because there's a lot of psilim today's day, which happens, and therefore you have to be boidek. Now, you don't have to be boidek for chesayres v'yisayres. You don't have to give it for a soifer to be boidek chesayres v'yisayres, because every mezuzah today's day goes through a bedika of chesayres v'yisayres. So that's not a problem. Derech klal, it's not a problem if it went through a proper bedika, but a kosher magia. In today's day, they even put it through the computers. What do you need to be boidek? Poshet, if the ink didn't fall down. Therefore, you don't have to give for a sofer. Technical, if you know how to take off the mezuzah and the tefillin, if you can do it, if you know. So basically, you have to check if all the letters are proper and there's no tish tush, or it didn't get erased or marked. This kind of thing, which everybody could see if a person wants to bother with it. But chesayres v'yisayres you don't read, because once this doesn't happen afterwards, it only happens, oisias will pop off and fall off.
Does that mean
if you have a problem, he has a suffix, he looks at himself and he sees there's a suffix. If something happens, then he goes to a sofer, but not necessarily he needs to go. And this is why I'm saying it, because some people, after 30 days, when they take it off and they want to be boidek, they want to put it with a bracha, you not necessarily have to take all the mezuzahs and give for the sofer and pay again. You could be boidek yourself. So what do you say?
You mentioned before about these days and tefillin, the way it's made, and it's not necessarily anymore going to last. So let's say you have a balabas, somebody has a pure tefillin, had from his bar mitzvah. Would you say he shouldn't put them on? Tell them you should first get them checked. No,
it's not a cheskes kashrus. Has a cheskes kashrus, but it's kedai that you should ask him. If he didn't put it on a while, so kedai as a bachlal as a body exam tefillin. Old mazizah, old tefillin, it's kedai to do that, because today's ink is a different ink. It's very hard to say today, because today's the gifa, there's a couple of kind of inks. There are better ones, there are worse ones, and it keeps on constantly changing. So keep on changing the ink. It is kedai that it should be. If a person did not use it a long time, then you put on, you ask him to, but it doesn't lose the cheskes kashrus till you're not going to say don't put on the tefillin till you're boidik. You should put it on, but still you should kedai to be boidik the tefillin mezuzahs. Yeah. Especially if there's a problem in your house, there's a tzora, there's a ganaiva, there's something gechoila. The Rebbe said the first thing you should do, you should check the mezuzah. So therefore, it's kedai. Although me'ikar adin, it's not machiv to be boidek more than 3.5 years. Now, it's only in a regular door. If you have a door which you have humidity, you have a door which you know it's exposed to the sun or to water, it is me'ikar adin that you should check it once a year. It's me'ikar adin, it's not Mishnah's Chassidus. Because over there we know it has exposure to all these kind of things, and therefore you should check it once a year. Now, if you know water went on the mezuzah mamash, before we mentioned, is exposed to water. That means it's outdoors, and you don't have a waterproof one. It's still not necessarily that it became into water. But if you know that it was exposed to water, something he saw there was a leak in the drain pipe, whatever, and the gutter was a leak, and water went on the mezuzah, he's mechiyev to take it down right away and being boidik. The same as the tefillin. The halacha in tefillin is, even though you don't have to be boidik tefillin, if it fell into the water, you have to be boidik it, because water could go in and could make it possible. So therefore, in case when you know it was exposed to any kind which damages the oisius, it's you mechiyev to do it right away. Or for instance, if you painted your house and the painter did not take off the mezuzah, and you know that it might be exposed to paint, in such a case, you should take it off and be boidik right away. Now,
every outdoor
mezuzah,
then the pile, it should. You're saying you would say it should be checked every year.
Yes, if it doesn't have a waterproof mezuzah holder. Nowadays there is waterproof, and over there I say clearly that you shouldn't have see-through, because the sun shouldn't shine. So today's day you could buy a little bit extra $2-3 extra mezuzah holder which is waterproof. It's one piece, and you push in the mezuzah only from the bottom, and you put it over there as screw, and it's not see-through. Such a case, me'ikar adin, it will not be exposed to water and to sun. So not necessarily you'll have to mitzad adin once a year. But again, in Chassidim, okay, but at least we still have to know mikar adin, because again, we cannot, our Chassidish inyonim you cannot force on people which come in Beis Chabad or other people which are not Chabad. But if they have a problem, for sure that they should make sure to be boidik the mezuzah. Now we said before, a bayis shel yuchid, you have to be boidik once in 3.5 years. A bayis shel rabim, you have to be boidik once in 25 years. But when we say bayis shel rabim, means a chotzer eir. But if it is a private mavoy, that means if you have a courtway, and an apartment building, you have 15 people live in the apartment, and you have a courthouse in front of it, which a person which comes in from the street, you can ask, hey, wait, what are you doing here? That's called a reshis hayuchid, and you have to be boidik 3.5 years. Just because it's a bayis shel shitzum does not necessarily mean it's a rab. Rab means rab. It's a rab. It's a bayis from a movie mefilish which everybody has the right to go through, or in a shisarab, or in its bayis shel from Shara Medina. But if it is a house, a courtyard, which you could say for a person, it's private property, get out of here, that's considered, it belongs to everyone. It's a bayis shel shitzum, and it's a bayis shel shitzum, which is called the bayis shel yuchad, and everybody has to chip in, or the choiv is on everybody. The same will be also in staircases. If you have staircases which the doorpost belongs to everybody. Everybody has to. It's his chayv of everybody. Now, if they don't want to, everybody has to chip in. And if they don't want, and you still have a chiyuv being boidik twice in some years. A mezuzah shel beis הכנסת and a beis medrash is there's a machlokas if it's considered bayis shel rab, bayis shel yuchid. Some poskim will say it's considered bayis shel yuchid, and you still have to be boidig it once in 3.5 years, not once in 25 years. Okay, now let's go a couple of halachas, which is to change a door, take it over mezuzah, all these things, which is a very important halachas also. You cannot change a door which is mechiba mezuzah midaraisa. You cannot take off the mezuzah and put it on a door which is mechiba mezuzah midrabonon. If you have a door, a mezuzah which was on a door which has doors, which according to all the poskim is mechiba mezuzah, it has a shear dalat and all these things, and has doors. According to all the poskim, it is mechiba mezuzah midaraisa. There's no reason. Then you take it off. You cannot put it on a door which is mechiba mezuzah only midrabonon, or it doesn't have a door which is according to the Rambam it's not mechiba mezuzah, because that's called you are lowering the kedusha mekdusha chamira lekdusha kala, from a more holier thing to lower, because the mezuzah is, when it's mechiv l'chol hadayis, it's more holier than if it's a mezuzah which is not mechiv l'chol hadayis. So therefore, when a person takes off the mezuzah, very important halacha, very, very important halacha. People do not know that. When a person takes off his mezuzahs, he wants to be avoiding his mezuzahs, elul or whatever it should be. He wants to be avoiding. He has a problem, Rahman al-Salam, which nobody should have, and he wants to be avoiding all his mezuzahs. He should not take off all the mezuzahs and put it in one basket and take it to the sofer. He should make sure every mezuzah which he takes off, he should write on it. If it's from a door 4, which is, or you could put all the mezuzahs, which is mechiv medaraisa l'chol hadayis, in one bag, and then he should put all the mezuzahs, which is not mechiv medaraisa, only midrabanan, or lechumra, or whatever it should be, in a separate bag. He should write on it, because if not, he's going to come home after he was boiling all the mezuzahs. He's going to put a mezuzah which is from mechiv medaraisa to a door with mechiv medrabanan, and he was moired mekdisha chamira like mishakala. Therefore, you have to make sure to make a siman and write on it which one comes from a mezuzah which is medaraisa, which one is mechiv l'chol hadayis, which one is not mechiv l'chol hadayis. If a person wants to take off a mezuzah, it does not want to use it. Therefore, in such a case, there's a halacha in Hilchos tzitzis that you cannot take off tzitzis from a talis if you don't want to put, it's kosher tzitzis. If you don't want to put it on other talis, don't take it off from the old talis. So poiskim amadama to take off a mezuzah from a house and not put it in another place, it is a zilzdul for the mezuzah, and therefore you don't take it off not to put it somewhere else. Now, if you want to put it off, take it off because you want to put more behidadik mezuzahs, of this there are poskim which say it is okay, and this is how the minig is. Mr. Brira, Simeman Vufsif Gimel writes that it is mutter, because since you want to put it up more behidadik mezuzahs, although the old mezuzahs would be useless, so to speak, then you shouldn't take it off. But other poskim say no. Even if you want to put in more mehudadik mezuzahs, you should not take off all the mezuzah. If it's a kosher mezuzah, don't take it off from, because then you take a mezuzah which is mekayim a mitzvah, and you're zilz in the mezuzah. And therefore they say in such a case, if you want to put more mehudadik mezuzahs, you should make sure to give this mezuzah for a poor person which needs mezuzahs, or for a Chabad house which they will put it on in a house, in order that you shouldn't take a mezuzah which was mekayim a mitzvah and doing it tashmish, which it's not usable. And if you don't have where to give it, then you should put it genizi. Genizi you could do it, but just to take it off, and according to this poskim, even if you want to put it on a nice mezuzah, you should only take it off if it's kosher. If you could give it for someone, he should put it on his door. Then the Shulchan Aruch Shtayt Siv Bais, a solche Bais mechavayre. A person is renting a house from his friend who is mechiv b'mezuzah. A solche chayav l'koy mezuzah elasakin mut kivusa. Has nothing to do with the landlord. It's also a misconception by a lot of people. They ask that I own a house and he is going to move in. And I'm mechiv to put the mezuzah. No, you're not mechiv to put the mezuzah. The soicher is mechiv to put the mezuzah, and he has to invest money to fix properly, to put on a mezuzah. If it's a metal one, and he has to put on a mezuzah, and you have to have a bal maluch should come. All of these things is on the renter and not on the landlord. Doesn't
the landlord need to put one up even before anybody moves in, just because he owns a house?
No, he does not. A person owns a house and it's not usable, you don't need to put a mezuzah.
It's not. He's not using it, even if it is usable. It's not. He's not using it.
Yeah, even if it's usable, as long as he doesn't use it, it's patim and a mezuzah. It's choyves hador. The door, the people who live there. If you don't live there, it's not. You're not yechiv. So a person owns houses, and even though if a yid left and other yid is going to come in, it's none of your business. It's not your thing. Even more so, if a person basically sat for when he made the lease, and a person said, I want to have the apartment, but I want to have the mezuzahs too. You should put the mezuzahs. And the masker agrees. And then at the end of the day, he moved in and he asked the masker, do me a favor, it's already 30 days. I need to have the mezuzahs, give me the mezuzahs. And the soicher ignores him. So then, in such a case, the renter has to go out and ask has to buy the mezuzahs. He cannot ask the landlord should pay the mezuzahs. Now, if according to the Mugen will say that the Mugen wants to say that even if he made a condition, that I want that you should give the mezuzahs, and he agreed, and in such a case, is the mekech kaim. That means he cannot reverse this lease. The mekech is still a mekech because again, all these things is choyves adar and ish choyves hamaskir. Although he agreed with it, we don't say that basically you should be mevatel the whole mekech, he can move out. No mekech kaim. But lamasa, the poskim are not 100% clear that if this guy, let's say it's cost $10,000 mezuzahs, a big house, and he made a deal that the landlord is going to pay the mezuzahs, he doesn't pay. So it's not everybody agrees with the Mugen Avrom. In such a case, he has to stay in the apartment, and the mekech is still kayim. Some poskim will say no, the mekech is bottle, but they say that if he stayed living over there after 30 days, he didn't move in, and he purchased mezuzahs, Hadas is going to call the person to the Torah, then he cannot back out anymore. So basically, the Nekitza Dvurim is that the word was mezedu is it's choyves hadar, it's not choyves hamaskir, and therefore he is not mechiv to give you mezuzahs. When you move out of a house, very very important. Look us now. When you move out, zug the mechaber and sieve bais the middle. When you move out, lo yitlenu biyudo. You should not take off the mezuzahs. This is a very very important halacha. People do not know that this exactly, and let me make it clear. When you move out of a apartment, you cannot take off the mezuzahs only if you move out and you know this house is going to be thrown down, they're going to rebuild the house, or you know a goy is going to move in. If a goy is going to move in, and or you're going to throw it out, then in such a case, you could take it off. By the way, there are achronim, which is balam kibul and beikar, say even in such a case, you have a goy take it off. Have the builder or the guy the guy who takes down the house, that the tractor driver, he should take it off because it's a skona. What is the reason? The reason is because we have 3 reasons why you should not take off the mezuzah. Toisus says the reason is because a house which doesn't have a mezuzah, the mazikim is coming. Again, the Gemara says, a person takes off a mezuzah, it's a skona. So what is the reason it's a skona? So Toisus gives a reason because when you take off the mezuzah, the mazikim are coming into the house. So therefore, when you take off a mezuzah and other yid will move in and won't have a mezuzah, you are causing Rahman al-Islam that the new person which move in, if he's not going to put on a mezuzah, his children will get so to speak, hurt. So since you are doing a pe'ilah that your friend's household should become mesukan, you don't have harvest rule, and that's why it's a skona for you, that you are taking over mezuzah, and therefore it is a skona. That's a toisvus. The Ritva gives the other reason why it's a skona, because since when you put on a mezuzah, it becomes kedishas hashchina in this house by the mezuzah, and when you take off till you push away the shchina, that's why you shouldn't take it off. Not because the guy who moves in will be dangerous. The Goinam, this Rabbi Acher of Haigon, which is brought down in Shiltas, Parshas Shalach, they give a third reason, because you take down a mezuzah, it's a bezoy for the mezuzah, you take it off, and you're mavat la mitzvah. So therefore, that's this kon. What is the difference between with this tamam, the tam of toisvas, which is because it's your mazik, the guy who moves in, or the ritva and the goinam, which is because you're pushing away the shchina, or because of the mezuzah. The difference is going to be if you take down the mezuzah, in order that you should put it on your new house. You want to move, you want to put your old mezuzahs on your new house. Now, according to the time of Tosfos, which the reason is because you are mazik the other person which comes in, or according to the time of the ritual, because you're pushing away the shechina, because when there's a mezuzah on the house, there's shechina, then in such a case, it's also to take down, because you're still making a skona for the other person. And according to the ritual, you're still pushing away the shechina. But according to the time of the goinim, because you're taking the mezuzah, you're zilzal the mezuzah, you're loading the kedushes of mezuzah, but till now he's become a mitzvah, and now not, since you're going to put it down on his house, it's not a problem. So when it comes in such a case, Lamasa is 3 times. Lamasa, when it comes in such a case that the person is moving out of apartment and he has a new apartment and he has to move in, and the old apartment is going to be empty for a while till that guy is going to find someone that he should be able to rent it out, and he has no mazizas at all. Zooming the poiskim b'shas hatchak, in such a case he has no mazizas. It's kedai hagoinam lisbechulav that you can take it down and put it on your door, because after all, chayechu kodmin, and your mazizah is more important. So therefore, although according to the ritzvah and the das Tosfos, you shouldn't take it down, but in such a case, kedai hagoinam to put it on. That's only if you cannot get mazizah. You live in Honolulu and you can't. It's not a practical in today's days, because today's days you can always get mazizahs. You could get overnight mazizahs. You could get mazizahs in the whole world. You could get mazizahs. But if it is in Siberia, Russia, you have no option. You have to take off the old mazizahs. If not, you're not going to have mazizahs in your house. Then in such a case, b'shas hatchag, you'll take it off. But otherwise, you don't take off mazizahs. What do? You make sure that the new person which comes in, he should basically put up his mazizahs and give you back your old mazizahs. Or you should pay the mezuzahs for the first person, because after all, it's the chayfetz from the first person. It belongs to the first person. You should pay for it, or he should pay for it, or he should basically take off the mezuzah. If you're afraid that guy will screw you and say, we'll leave it on the door, and now he doesn't have to buy mezuzahs. Yeah, $5,000 mezuzahs he doesn't have to buy. And as you say, you want to take it, you take it out down, but you don't want to take it down because it's a skona. So therefore, if you're afraid that guy is such a hammerman, so the best item in such a case is, if you could rent today's day, you could rent mezuzahs. And as we mentioned last week at the shiur, mezuzah does not have to be shilachem. It could be a borrowed mezuzah. So you borrow or you rent mezuzahs, cheap mezuzahs from a store which buta sofram rent mezuzahs. And a few days before you move out, you take down the mezuzahs which you have expensive alter rebbe mezuzahs. You take down in order to be boydikit, because you don't take down a mezuzah tamazoi, because you want to be boydikit. Yeah, you have a right to take down a mezuzah to be boydik. Then you're going to put on the lower mezuzahs, and then that way, if something happens and he doesn't want to give you the mezuzah, at least you have your expensive mezuzahs, and he only stole from you the cheap mezuzahs. But again, if a person is knows that this house is going to be demolished, yeah, then he can take the mezuzahs, even though that he doesn't have yet permits to demolish the apartment, this house, and it will take about 8 months to 6 months, and nobody's going to move in. It's going to be empty. So in such a case, since you know it's going to be demolished, or a person knows that the landlord is a goy and he's looking to rent it out for a goy, or even though he doesn't know he looked for rent a goy, even he might rent it out for a yid, but since the owner is a goy, and there's a halacha, as we're going to see in a minute, you cannot give a mezuzah to a goy, so therefore in such a case you can take it down. So again, how? If you know it's going to be demolished, even it will be a couple of months, a couple of weeks till the poil they get to demolish it, but nobody's going to move in, then you can take it off. Or the house is owned by a goy, and we know that a house owned by a goy should not have a mezuzah, then in such a case you can take it off, and it's not a problem.
Could you just put on cheap mezuzahs and then?
Yeah, you can put it on, but when you take off the old mezuzah, why are you taking it off? So if you take it off because you want to be more, so to speak, because you want to boydik, and you are going to be boydik it, or again, not necessarily have to give it for the sofa, but you want to go through all all this mezuzahs to look if it's kosher, such a case you have a right to take it off, and therefore you could take it. Then you could switch the mezuzahs.
Doesn't have to be a rental.
What?
The renting the mezuzah was just practically so if the case gives it back to you, you can give it back.
Yeah, you can give it back. Yeah, you don't want to spend a lot of money for it, but yeah. But if, for instance, you live in a house which belongs to a goy, and you know the goy sold it to a yid, now in such a case, even if the yid is not going to move in only for a couple of weeks, you can still not take it off, because a goy is a house of a goy. But since he sold it already for a yid, in such a case, you could you should leave it. Now, when we say you cannot take off the mezuzah, that's only the mezuzah itself. If you have a very expensive mezuzah holder, it's not a problem to take it off. But you can take it off only if you want to use it somewhere else. Just take it off, it's asr. Why? Because even by the tick of the mezuzah, the tick of mezuzah, as we mentioned before, it has some kind of kedusha, and therefore you should not lower the tick of mezuzah kedusha chamira, which is being a part of a mitzvah, and not using it all. But if you want to use it for your house, in such a case, it's not a problem that you should basically take off the holder, the mezuzah holder. Now, a goy, which asks from a yid, he wants to have a mezuzah. This is a shaila, which is a very popular shaila. I had it about a year ago. A doctor, which was treating a yid, and he was asking that the yid should give him, please buy a mezuzah. I want to have a mezuzah on my door. It will bring me customers, or for shmira, or forever, all these things. The halacha is the Ramo brings down a maril. It's also to give in such a case. You have to make all the shtadlas and all the things not to give him a mezuzah, because it shouldn't get to be like minik bezoin. Why? Because we are afraid if it's not going to be a shmira, if somebody's going to sue him for malpractice, or somebody's going to sue him for in his house, there was a ganaf and he stole, so he used to say the Jewish, so to speak, zgil of mezuzah doesn't hold, he will take it and throw it in the garbage. He will be mazal, so he's going to get angry. So therefore, Zug de Maril, we are afraid that basically he's not going to use it with kedusha, with tahara. So therefore, you cannot give him a mezuzah. A yid cannot give for a goy a mezuzah. One of the reasons. There's the other reason why you can't give a mezuzah for a goy, because we are afraid you're going to put the mezuzah on the door, and basically people will think that basically he is a Jew, and knock on his door for tzedukah or for achlosas archam, and Rahman Islam, he's all of shlichus duma. Goy is all of shlichus duma. This time, some poskim say today's day it's not a chashash, but again, other poskim say it's still a chashash, even though it's not going to be all of shlichus duma. It is a thing which is at least you have the other reason that is going to be mazalzel, and even if you're 100% sure he's a pious guy, he's not going to be a mazalzel. That's good till he's alive. Once he passes away and he dies, and the goyim, his children, take over the apartment, they are not so erlich to keep the mezuzah holy, and they're going to take the mezuzah, throw it in the garbage. In order, all of the reasons, the poskim say that you should not give a mezuzah for a goy. Only reason you could give a mezuzah is if there's a problem of aiva. If you're afraid that if you are not going to give it to him, he's going to basically punish you, or he's going to hurt you, whatever. Mitzad aiva, then zung the poskim it's allowed. There's a whole arichas what goes into the category of aiva, and I don't want to go in now. Time is short, but akaponam, it has to be. Ramosha Fashion in Shuvah says, even if only he's going to hurt you physically, monetarily, if he's going to hurt you, then you might be sevati be a Michael. But otherwise, you don't buy a mezuzah. By the way, over there I discusses that you cannot give him. You can have a aitza. Give him a mezuzah which is possible, The answer is going with das, because he paid, or he wants a mezuzah which is kosher, and you give him something which is not kosher. It's going with das, especially if it pays. That's not a thing which you do. Tell him that it won't help by you, and don't give him a mezuzah. Now the final halacha, which the Mechaber writes in Simar Reish Tagalov, hakle chayuv mezuzah, afil enoshim, vavodim, mechanechem asektanim la'asas mezuzah lepischayim. Also, women are machiyev with the mezuzah. What's the chiddush? First of all, it's a mitzvah she'ayin as man geruma. So what's the chiddush? The reason is, first of all, why they are machiyev is because it's mitzvah she'ayin as man geruma. And also it says leman yirbi yomaychem. And also women have to have chayim. So therefore, the machiyev mezuzah. The chiddush is why it says that. So that's I could put that's the kida that there is not it's mitzvah she'ainas man geruma, and that's mechib mezuzah. Now we mentioned in the beginning of the shiur is a lady now she's mechiv. Now is she allowed to put on a mezuzah? Yeah, that's the question. Now according to most poskim, a lady has no issue to putting on a mezuzah, and she puts on mezuzah. And she makes a bracha regularly. And this should do a lady which doesn't have someone else should put on the mezuzah. And it's the reason why the poskim say that it is okay, because we see a goy is possible to write a mezuzah, and therefore it's possible to make a mezuzah. A tefillin, but tefillin we say it's a we learn ikshartem, ichsaftem, ikshartem. The person which is mechiv b'mezuzah, mechiv b'tefillin, there is mechiv b'ksiva. Anyone who is not mechiv to put tefillin is not mechiv to write. Yeah. So a goy is possible to make tefillin because because he's possible to write, because since ikshartem, ichsaftem, he's not mechiv b'kshira, he's possible to write. And since he's possible to write, he's also possible to make asisa mezuzah. So therefore, some wanted to say that a lady should also be possible by mezuzah because she's possible to write a mezuzah. So since she's possible to write a mezuzah, she should not put on a mezuzah also. But lamasa, the achronim paskin that she is mutter, it's okay that she should put on a mezuzah. Because it's a different than making mezuzah, siyas mezuzah and kviz, making tefillin and putting on a mezuzah. Siyas tefillin, yeah, which the making tefillin, that's not the gemar mitzvah. So therefore, we say that nochris is also, and because it's a gemar, nicht kein gemar asiyusan. But when it comes to kviz mezuzah, since the kvis hamazizah is gemar mitzvah, and therefore we mentioned in the beginning of the shiur, if you put on a mazizah, if you got to make a bracha, you cannot make a bracha anymore because it's finished the gemar mazizah. So therefore, since there's no mas achareyu, so therefore, since a woman is mechiyev b'mazizah, they can also put on a mazizah. So it's not like tefillin, which basically tefillin, it is since they don't put mazizah. The goy is not mechiv b'mezuzah, cannot write. He cannot make mezuzah, but by mezuzah, although a lady does not write a mezuzah, but she is mechiv b'mezuzah, she can also put it in a mezuzah, and that's abaraf b'kei shtayt mezuzah's belucham, which a sefer mezuzah, and he writes that like a lady should not put it on a mezuzah. So therefore, if you have a man, a child, a friend could come put on mezuzahs, it's kedai. But if you don't have, a lady is almona, has nobody to ask to come over here, she doesn't want, she's ashamed, whatever it should be, soft to soft, she should put on a mezuzah, she's mechiv b'mezuzah. Now then the Mechaber says, to make a mezuzah to your door. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that when you have a house and you have to be mechanech your child and put on his room, which he sleeps on the boys' room and on the girls' room, you should put a mezuzah. But that's not mechanech sektanim. That's your chiyuv and it's mechiv b'mezuzah l'chol hadai, so you can make a bracha ochet. There's no question about it. And you should make him a bracha because it's your chiyuv. Mechanchen Sektana means Rahman Litzlan. If a person, for instance, is a yosam, or and basically he got Yerisha, a house from his father, so it's his house. So he is not Machib Mezuzah, he's a cotton. Or if he got Yerusha for someone, or he got a matana, a bayis from someone which gave it specially for a child, and it's not, doesn't belong to his parents, this is potem mezuzah, because after a cotton, in such a case, although me'ikaradin is potem mezuzah, then we are putting on a mezuzah on his door. Although even an adult will not use that room, only the child will use the room. Sof kasof, since it's his mezuzah, his me'ikaradin is his apostle, he is mechayba mezuzah. But he cannot put on a mezuzah on the door, which is for a gadol. Yeah? Because since we say when somebody else puts on a mezuzah, it's shlichus, the guy in shlichus, a cotton cannot be in shlichus, and he cannot put on a mezuzah. Now, when it comes to his house, he can put on the mezuzah. It's not a problem, because the whole bechiv is not a chiv of chinuch. But if you can't let a child, a boy under 13 years old, should put on a mezuzah in your house, which you are mechiv mezuzah, because since it goes through shlichus, and akot is labar shlichus. And therefore, if a child did put on a mezuzah on your house, which is mechiv, you should take it off and put it on again, because it was put on shloi b'kashras. It's interesting to note, there are some poskim which want to say that if a cotton which has a house for himself, which we mentioned now, mechanchen saktanim, to put a mezuzah, and afterwards he became bar mitzvah, he put it on when he is basically a child, als chinuch, and then he became a gadol. There are poskim which say that you should take it off and put it back. Although some poskim will say, as mikredi, you don't need to do it. It goes in a little bit of a house which is potter mitzad. You remember I mentioned if it's a house which you don't work 30 days, you put it on within the 30 days, and then it becomes 30 days. There's a machloikas, and according to the poskim, it's not considered a tasav lemin usi, and you don't have to take it off. No, also there we have poskim which say that you should take it off like and put it back bracha, and this is how the paskin also by a child which is basically putting it up on the door when he's a child, and it's only mitzvah chinuch, or kom ikaradin. Some poskim will say it's okay. You take it off, and you don't make a bracha. And in such a case, it's kedai that the boy should take it off and take it to a sofer, and being boidik. Once he's boidik, he can put it back now already with a bracha too also. Okay, so this is more or less covering the hilchas mezuzah, and Miyat Hashem, the next shiur we will go on to hilchas tzedakah. Be'ez Hashem is work next week, Tuesday. Okay, any questions? Okay, good night, and we'll see you Be'ez Hashem is work next week. Kol Tov.